In this video, today I am going to discuss about the entire middle ear. You will become master after this lecture. Middle ear. First of all, I will discuss about exact location of the middle ear. The middle ear is present below the middle cranial fossa, and the tegmen tympani bone is separating middle cranial fossa from the middle ear. I will draw one diagram. See, here I am drawing the external ear, and this is the external auditory canal. All these structures I will show you in the bone also. And we have the tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane makes some angle with the external auditory canal. Because of that angle, anterior recess is produced here. And this is the umbo. Pars tensa is tented inward and forms a umbo here. Then there is a middle ear. The medial end of the external auditory canal has tympanic membrane, and here will be the middle ear. Middle ear is divided into three parts based on their pars tensa. Here is normally we have a malleus here. I will remove this umbo from here. Here is the malleus and neck of the malleus, lateral process of malleus and handle of the malleus. And here will be the incus. And the stapes. Here what happens, these lateral processes tightly adhere to the tympanic membrane. Remember this point. I will discuss the importance of this point later. The lateral processes tightly adhere to the tympanic membrane. The portion of tympanic membrane above this lateral process is called the pars flaccida. If you have not watched the video of tympanic membrane, please watch it. The part of the membrane below this lateral process is called the pars tensa. At the level of pars tensa, the middle membrane present at the level of pars tensa is called the mesotympanum. Then below the level of pars tensa is called the hypotympanum. Above the level of pars tensa is called the epitympanum. Then what are the contents of epitympanum, hypotympanum and mesotympanum? The contents of epitympanum are malleus, head of the malleus, neck of the malleus, lateral process of malleus and short process of malleus. Anterior process of malleus. All these are contents of malleus which is present in the epitympanum. Then body of the incus, short process are present in the epitympanum. What are the contents of epitympanum? Head, neck, anterior process, lateral process. Body of the incus, short process. All these are contents of epitympanum. Then what are the contents of mesotympanum? Yes, mesotympanum contents are handle of malleus. This handle of malleus is also attached to the tympanic membrane. Here we have umbona. So the handle of malleus is tightly adhered to this umbo. After that, the short process of incus and the stapes. These are the contents of mesotympanum. Handle of the malleus, short process of incus. This one is long process. Here will be the short process of incus is there. handle of the malleus, long process of incus, and the stapes. These are the contents of mesotympanum. The hypotympanum contains, there are no ossicles present in the hypotympanum. After that, I will show you one diagram. In that, I will discuss the external auditory canal, internal auditory canal, and tegment tympani, coroner's septum. All this will be discussed in the diagram. Let's draw the anterior wall, all the structures. First, this is the roof, and this one is the lateral wall. You are seeing the ear from lateral side. That means the person is, if this here is the face will be there, and you are seeing from this side. What happens? This one becomes lateral, and here will be the medial and anterior, posterior, floor, and the roof. Anteriorly, as we have seen that carotid wall will be there. From this carotid wall, the internal carotid artery is coming. Normally in the bone, here is the carotid wall. This one is the foramina lacerum, and here is the carotid canal. The internal carotid artery is entering into this carotid canal, and it traverses like this and exit from the foramina lacerum. This internal carotid artery travels in anterior to the middle ear. So anterior wall is also called as carotid wall. Posteriorly, we have the mastoid system. Here in that posterior wall, we have the mastoid additus. This additus is a opening to the mastoid system. And there will be the mastoid antrum and mastoid canal. Then laterally we have the tympanic membrane, so it is called tympanic wall. Medially we have the inner ear, coils of the cochlea. First, suppose take this as a medial wall. This one is medial wall, and here are the turns of, these are the turns of cochlea. When one cochlea turn bumps this middle ear, what happens? The middle ear, at that point where the cochlea turn bumps, that point becomes protruded. That means one cochlea turn bumps this point. What happens? There will be elevation. This elevation is called the promontory. Medial wall is called labyrinthine wall, laterally tympanic wall, anteriorly carotid wall, posteriorly mastoid wall, and the floor. I have seen that floor has jugular fossa, so it is called jugular wall. And the roof has tegment tympani. This is called tegment tympani wall. Then, what are the contents of medial wall, lateral wall? All I will discuss here. Let's draw another diagram. Same, you are absorbing laterally. This one is the medial wall, and we have the anterior wall, and this one is the posterior wall. I have opened the anterior wall and the posterior wall. This one is the anterior wall, and this is the posterior wall, and this one is the medial wall. Then the lateral wall, I will open the lateral wall like this. Lateral wall is normally present here. I have opened that one. It will leads to like this. I have opened the entire middle ear. We have the promontory where the cochlea turn gives elevation to this medial wall. And normally we have the malleus, incus and the stapes. From laterally we are coming from here, malleus, incus and stapes. We have the stapes. Stapes means the oval window. And we have the round window here. Then we have a processus cochleariformis here. These are the contents of medial wall. Then anterior wall. The anterior wall has tensa tympani canal, eustachian tube and canal of Hugger, where the chorda tympani will enter. Then the posterior wall. This posterior wall has a pyramid. Normally the posterior wall is not like a plane. It has some elevations. For suppose here is the elevation. And this is the medial wall. It's not. For suppose this is the medial wall and here is the posterior wall. This posterior wall will have a elevation like this. That means here the recess is formed. Here, this one. Because of this elevation, here recess is formed. In between this elevation and the medial wall. In between the medial wall and this elevation, there is the recess. This elevation has further projection, which is a pyramid. Further projection. Here will be the elevation. This elevation has a projection, that is a pyramid. Pyramid gives origin to the stapedius muscle. And here is the elevation. Medial to this elevation, one recess is there, that is called sinus tympani recess. Lateral to this elevation, another recess is there, that is facial recess. That are two recesses present in the posterior wall. Facial recess is bounded by the ponticulus and subiculum. I will discuss these recesses in the later part. This is the pyramid. After that, normally the facial nerve is coming like this. Here will be the genu of the facial nerve, and the facial nerve enters from this roof, run in this medial wall, and it will move like this. This is the facial canal, which is running transverses in the medial wall and in the posterior wall. After this exit, it will enters between the stylomastoid foramina and it will give five terminal branches. Before it exits from the stylomastoid foramina, it gives a one branch which is called chorda tympani. This chorda tympani again enters into the posterior wall and enters into this canal of Hugger, and it will pass from posterior wall to anterior wall like this. When you pass this is the man. When you place a strong light into the external auditory canal, this turn, you can see this turn. This bundle, you can see that bundle. This is the chorda tympani. Then in the floor we have the jugular foramina. From this jugular foramina, internal jugular vein is coming. From this internal jugular vein, we have the 9th, 10th, 11th cranial nerve. This 9th cranial nerve gives some branches to this promontory. These are parasympathetic branches. And here from the carotid canal we have the internal carotid artery. These internal carotid artery have sympathetic plexus around this. These are coming from the C8, T1, T2. This sympathetic plexus coming from C8, T1, T2, and from the it will enters into the superior cervical ganglion. It will relay there and it will pass through the cavernous sinus and bounded around this internal carotid artery. These sympathetic plexus again enters into the anterior wall. These branches, sympathetic branches is called anterior and posterior coratico-tympanic branches. These will also form a plexus around this promontory. Who will form the plexus around the promontory? Yes, ninth cranial nerve and the anterior posterior coratico-tympanic nerves. All these forms the plexus around the promontory. And these plexus gives one branch which is called lesser petrosal nerve. It will move like this. What are the input to the tympanic plexus? Ninth cranial nerve branches, sympathetic branches, that is parasympathetic and sympathetic. Both forms the tympanic plexus around the promontory and the branches. These tympanic plexus supply the eustachian tube and somewhat supplies to the tensor tympani, and this middle ear, entire middle ear is supplied by this tympanic plexus only. And what are the muscles of middle ear? Here will be the stapedius muscle. Stapedius muscle arises from the pyramid. This stapedius muscle pyramid gives origin to the stapedius. It will attach to the neck of the stapes. It will attach to the neck of the stapes. So when the contractions are more, when there is high sound, the stapedius muscle is activated. Normally here will be the stapes, oval window and the stapes. This stapedius muscle attached to the neck of the stapes. When there is high sound vibrations, the stapedius muscle is contracted. What happens? The origin, always the origin is constant and the insertion will move. This stapes moves backward. So there is no transmission of sound waves into the inner ear. This is the function of stapedius muscle. Then what is the function of tensor tympani muscle? Tensor tympani the nerve supply of stapedius is from the facial nerve now to stapedius. Then we have the tensor tympani canal here. The origin of tensor tympani muscle is the tensor tympani canal and somewhat from the eustachian tube and from the greater wing of sphenoid. All this gives origin to the tensor tympani muscle. Then this tensor tympani muscle moves out from this tensor tympani canal and will passes through the processus cochleariformis and bind to the neck of the malleus. In early part of the lecture, I have told that the lateral process of the malleus is tightly adhered to the tympanic membrane. This tensor tympani muscle is bound to the neck of the malleus. When there is any high sound vibration, the tensor tympani muscle is contracted and it will for suppose this is the neck of the malleus, it will pull the neck of the malleus like this. When it pull the neck of the malleus, normally neck of the malleus is adhered to the tympanic membrane. When there is high vibrations, tensor tympani is contracted, this tensor tympani muscle move the neck of the malleus. What happens? Neck of the malleus means tensor tympani also move. So that the tensor tympani becomes more tense. Tympanic membrane, sorry. This tympanic membrane is more tense, and so there is less conduction of sound waves. These are about the functions of stapedius and the tensor tympani muscle. Nerve supply of tensor tympani muscle is mandibular nerve. The processus cochleariformis is important landmark for the facial nerve. It is an important landmark. It will locate the genu of the facial nerve. The blood supply of middle ear is both internal carotid artery and the external carotid artery. The nerve supply of middle ear, the tensor tympani is supplied by the mandibular nerve, and the stapedius is supplied by nerve to stapedius muscle from the nerve to stapedius from the facial nerve, and the tympanic plexus from the ninth cranial nerve and the anterior posterior coratico-tympanic nerves. Then lymphatic drainage from the retropharyngeal and parotid lymph nodes. The ossicles develop from the malleus and the incus are developed from first brachial arch, and stapes is developed from the third brachial arch. The incudostapedial joint is a saddle joint. Incudostapedial joint is saddle joint, and the incudostapedial joint is a ball and socket joint, and the incudomalleolar joint is a saddle joint. Let's discuss some point about the mastoid antrum. Here is my notes so that it will be easy to you. Mastoid bone is a spongy or cancellous bone. The types of mastoid cells are nemotic, sclerotic, and diploic. The anterior wall is the opening of adytus. As you see that the posteriorly we have the mastoid system. The anteriorly we have the posterior wall of the middle ear. That means opening of the, here will be the opening of the mastoid adytus. Here is the landmark of lateral semicircular canal, and this one is the lateral wall now, so tympanic membrane will be there. The malleus is tightly adhered to this tympanic wall, and the incus is there. All these things are there. Medial wall, medially we have the posterior semicircular canal. Medially we have the posterior semicircular canal. Posteriorly we have the sigmoid sinus, and the lateral wall. Laterally we have the squamous temporal bone. These are the boundaries. Roof, as always, there is tegment tympani. Yes, about the coronal septum. Coronal septum is persistence of petrosquamous suture between petrosquamous suture. That means the coronal septum is present between the superficial squamous cells and the deep petrosal cells. These are closures at the birth, but persistence of this petrosquamous suture leads to difficult to locate the mastoid antrum, and another point is there. I forgot that point. difficult in locating the mastoid antrum, and thus leads to incomplete removal of disease at the mastectomy. This is about the middle ear. The middle ear divisions and boundaries, blood supply, nerve supply, lymphatic drainage, and the contents of every wall. And this is the promontory, oval window, round window, processus cochleariformis. Here will be the fossa incudis is there. Fossa incudis. And the canal of Hugger, and anterior posterior corticotympanic nerves, tensa tympani, eustachian tube. Remember, these two are more important. Tensa tympani canal and the eustachian tube of the anterior wall. And facial canal is there. Then there will be sinus tympani recess and the facial recess, because the posterior wall is not a straight. It doesn't take plane. It has an elevation. Because of that, there is production of sinus tympani and the facial recess. Then the actions of the stapedius and the actions of malleus, these will contracted during the high intensity of sound. Then what are the functions of middle ear? The functions of middle ear is to enhance the intensity of sound and also to decrease the intensity of sound. How it enhances the intensity of sound means, the tympanic membrane, surface area of the tympanic membrane is 90 mm square. In that, only 50 mm square is working. If the malleus transmit the intensity of sound, when malleus is vibrated, the stapes will vibrate 1.3 times more than that of the malleus. The functions of middle ear are, first is impedance matching, and second one is it increases the intensity of sound and it will conduct the sound, and it also decreases the intensity of sound. First function is, I will discuss the important thing. Normally, here is the tympanic membrane. And here will be the foot plate of stapes, where the stapes, foot plate of stapes. The surface area, the functional surface area of this tympanic membrane is 55 mm square. And the functional area of the stapes is 45 to 55, in that range. Then the functional area of foot plate of stapes is 3.2 mm square. That means the area of the stapes, that means oval window area, is 17 times greater than the surface area of tympanic membrane. It means 17 times greater than the surface area of tympanic membrane. And when the malleus moves to transmit the sound, when the malleus moves, the stapes will move 1.3 times greater than the malleus. The stapes will move 1.3 times greater than the malleus. That means 17 into 1.3 will make 22.1. In this, see here, the sound waves, initially the sound waves which are transmitted to the external acoustic meatus, the sound waves which conducted sound waves. These conducted sound waves will exert more pressure, 22.1 times will exert 22.1 times more pressure on the oval window. Because why we have to discuss all these things means, normally the sound waves are transmitted in the air, in the external acoustic meatus or in the middle ear. All these sound waves are travels in the air medium. After this middle ear, the sound wave should travel through the inner ear. Sound wave should travel in the liquid to stimulate the organ of Carty. The sound waves which are travel in the air medium has greater amplitude but lesser force. It has greater amplitude but lesser force. To move in this medium, the sound waves to move in this medium should need more force. Should need more force and less amplitude, so that the middle ear has generated the greater force by difference in the surface area and difference in their movement. So it has made the middle ear made 22 times more force than the sound waves travels in the air medium. This is called the impedance matching. And it also decreases the intensity of sound by contracting the stapedius and the malleus. By contracting the malleus, tympanic membrane becomes more tense. By contracting the stapedius move backward from the oval window. This is about the functions of middle ear.